Right, welcome back to you. It's day 7 of the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. The tournament has already provided us with shocking results as well as 5 goalless draws. The only African side to manage maximum points so far has been Senegal, with Tunisia going down to Australia earlier today. For more statistics on the competition, we're joined by our very own sports producer, Sandile Mchunu. Sandile, so of course it was a lovely opening that we saw for the Qatar World Cup. Host nations, of course, not going well for them.
Yes, host nation, Nicole, which is Qatar. The opening ceremony was stellar. It was spectacular. One of the best opening ceremonies I've ever seen. So it was great as always. But when it comes to the field of play, it didn't go well for Qatar. In fact, they are the first team in history of the competition to lose the opening game. So they lost against Ecuador. It's fair to say that game was boring. So it was not appetizing. But first games are cagey. It was the opening game of the tournament. But for Ecuador, they just needed a win. And I think on paper, the odds were against Qatar to win that football match. Because Ecuador are from South America. And normally they have tough fixtures. They have to play the likes of Argentina, the likes of Brazil, all these big nations, Paraguay, you name them, as well as Chile, who, by the way, are not at this year's FIFA World Cup. So for Qatar, they lost by 2 goals to nothing. As we can see on the video wall, it was the first time that a team, if we go back to the first...
To the previous one.
Yes, to the previous one. It was for the first time that a team which was hosting lost. But if we go back to the history on the first slide, Germany in 2006, you might recall that the history of the competition in the past, it used to be the defending champions that used to play the first game. But up until 2006, Germany, they won their first match. They were up against Costa Rica. It was a comfortable victory. And also in 2010 in SA, we drew against Mexico. In 2014, Brazil were up against Croatia. It was a comfortable victory, a 3-1 victory there is in 2014. And also in 2018, 5-0 drubbing of Saudi Arabia by none other than Russia, who were hosting 4 years ago. So it was a first. And also they've been bundled out of the tournament. We are talking about the host, which is Qatar, after failing to get the result last night. And that draw between Netherlands and Ecuador meant that they were on 4 points. Both sides, they are on 4 points now in Group A, which means automatically, even if they win their final match against the Netherlands, of which I doubt they will, so they are not going to advance to the round of 16 Qatar. So they are out of the tournament. It's for the first time ever in the history of the competition that a host nation is bundled out of the tournament after only 2 rounds of matches.
Yeah, poorly done there, poorly done to Qatar. If we move back to the previous slide, well, the next slide rather, and we focus a bit on Africa. Needless to say, of course, South Africa didn't make it, but there are some other teams who are representing our continent. 5 teams exactly: Senegal, Ghana, Cameroon, Tunisia, as well as Morocco. They, of course, Senegal missing out the great Sadio Mane, but they seem to be doing very well without him thus far. So what do you make of the performance of the African teams so far, and do you see any one of these teams making it to the last 16?
Well, the North Africans started pretty well because they drew their games, Tunisia as well as Morocco. But as for the West Africans, they didn't do well. Senegal losing the opening game to the Dutch, but they played very well up until Edouard Mendy, Chelsea goalkeeper, made 2 blunders because he parried the ball when the striker was on rushing, and that was finished off. That was the second goal. The first goal, he came out of his line, failed to clear his lines, and then they scored the opener, which was a great goal by Gakpo. By the way, he has scored 2 goals, PSV Eindhoven talisman. So the West Africans didn't start well. But then again, Senegal were the first side to win a football match at this year's World Cup, as far as Africa is concerned, when they beat Qatar by 3-1. It was not exactly convincing, Nicole, but they were playing Qatar, so they scraped through. They won that football match. There was a controversial decision as well. I've been very disappointed with the officiating, especially when it comes to to consistency or lack thereof consistency with the VAR, the video assistant referees, is not being utilized as much as it is supposed to. I don't know why that's the case. You might recall Portugal against Ghana, that soft penalty. Cristiano Ronaldo was handed a soft penalty. But yesterday, there was a penalty that was supposed to be handed to the host nation Qatar against Senegal, but there was no VAR referral. So it's a bit confusing. So now Senegal, they won 3 points. They just need to win their final match. On paper, it's going to be difficult. It's a tall order for them because they are playing the Netherlands. I don't see the Netherlands losing against Senegal in the final match, but football is a funny game. There are no guarantees in football. So at the moment, Senegal, they look as if they are the side that might progress, but it's a tall ask really, because Ecuador in their final match, they should be able to also get the result. In fact, they are playing Senegal, Ecuador, sorry, I beg your pardon. So they just need a draw, that is Ecuador. If they draw their final match, surely they are through to the next round. For Senegal, they need victory. And Ghana were the first side, the African side, to score a goal when they lost 3-2 to Portugal. So far, it's been, I would say, a lukewarm World Cup for African nations. They still need to do better. By the way, today, earlier on, Tunisia losing. So it means they are on the verge of elimination as well.
100%. It has been lukewarm, but we have seen a few surprises as well in this World Cup. So I think when it comes to Senegal, and as you say, you know, on paper, they could, but it's going to be tight and a bit difficult for them to go ahead and win it against the Netherlands. But anything could happen.
Yes.
So I'm doing this right now for Senegal. So it is the World Cup. It would not be a World Cup if there are not records that are being set or records that are being broken. So talk to us about that.
Plenty of them. The next slide will talk to us about the records. So, I mean, a World Cup is not a World Cup without Cristiano Ronaldo. He dominated the headlines building up to this main event. You might recall that Manchester United, he was not playing. I mean, there was a row before the tournament. That infamous interview, I don't want to go back there because he's the former Manchester United player now after his contract was mutually terminated. But scoring against Ghana, that penalty against the Black Stars, it was for the fifth tournament in succession, Cristiano Ronaldo, which was a record. Messi has scored in 4 different tournaments. So Ronaldo was the first player in the men's game, we might emphasize that, in the men's game to score in 5 different tournaments. And for Argentina, they were stunned, as well as Germany. They lost to Asian sides. You might recall Argentina losing to Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Saudi Arabia, by the way, they lost today to Poland.
This morning to Poland, yeah,
yes,
2-0.
Lack of consistency from their part. And Germany losing to Japan. By the way, Japan, they deserved their victory. Yes, they went behind early on. They could have been out of sight. The D-Mannschaft, which is Germany, after that goal, which was disallowed for offside, the Chelsea striker, it didn't stand. But in the end, they ended up losing that football match. So both those big nations, former champions, they might be out of the World Cup. I'm talking about Kai Havertz from Chelsea. So Enner Valencia, talking of records, he is now top of the goal-scoring chart with 3 goals. So after scoring 3 goals, what does that mean, Nicole, in a bigger scheme of things? So it's 6 goals in succession for him, for the Ecuadorian captain, because he had scored 3 goals in the previous tournament. That means he is joining an elite group of players, the likes of Eusebio, who did it the first time in 1966 with Portugal. And another player who did it is Paolo Rossi, the Italian legend, back in 1982. And 1994, as recently as 1994 in Russia, Olenko from Russia, he also scored 6 goals in succession. So that's some record. So he's joining an elite group of players. It's not Ronaldo El Phenomenon or your usual players, your Rivaldos of this world, or Zinedine Zidane, but it's Enner Valencia against the likes of the late Eusebio, Paolo Rossi, as well as Olenko. Gavi emulated Pelé during that drubbing, the record-breaking drubbing when Spain played Costa Rica. So he's only 18, Pelé was 17, so he's the youngest player in terms of the Spanish national team, and also in recent times to score, to score a goal at a World Cup, at the FIFA World Cup. So he's still a youngster. He's doing very well, Gavi of Barcelona.
Doing great things, doing great things. So you've already touched on the matches that we saw earlier today. Poland, they're winning 2-0 against Saudi Arabia, and Tunisia, unfortunately, losing their 1-0 against Australia. There are more fixtures coming, 6 p.m., 9 p.m. What do we have coming up later today?
The final slide, it's going to show us exactly that as we conclude, Nicole. So, but the main talking point, the big game of the night, everyone is waiting for. I know that France are playing Denmark now, which,
That's
by
right.
the way, is not a foregone conclusion that the French are going to win. Should they win tonight, they are going to be through to the next round. But we've seen the Danes giving them headache in the past. So it's not going to be an easy game, because Denmark, they play as a team. They are very resilient. But on paper, I expect Le Bleu to progress, to win this match tonight. But all eyes will be on Lionel Messi and Argentina.
Yep.
Albiceleste, if they fail to get maximum points, they are not going to be out of the World Cup yet, because Poland are on 3 points, Saudi Arabia is on 3 points, and if they lose, it means it's out of their hands. Now, what Argentina needs to do, they need to take care of business tonight to win their football match, and also win the final match against Poland. They will be through to the next round. Already people are also anticipating, they are salivating, because Spain are playing Germany tomorrow night. So that's going to be another humdinger, Nicole.
Mouth-watering football for all of us to watch. I'm absolutely excited. I think my partner will be happy if I go ahead and I watch the football with him, so I'll do that.
Absolutely.
Very quickly before we go, because we are running out of time. Who do you think, your prediction for the round of 16?
Yeah,
Who's making it?
It's tough. I think Group A, definitely Ecuador. I'm sorry, I think Senegal they are going to be knocked out by Ecuador. I think it's going to be Ecuador and the Netherlands. I see France progressing. I still feel Argentina. I still have faith they are going to progress. Spain, I'm not too sure about Germany. Portugal, I think they are going to progress. England, I think they were supposed to wrap up last night when they played the Stars and Stripes, United States of America, but I still feel they are going to get out of the group and go through to the round of 16. So as for other nations, it's going to be a bit of a surprise.
Sanza, sadly, we're going to have to call it a day for now, but it's always great chatting with you. That is sports producer Sandile Mchunu. And as you can hear, he's very passionate about football. He's very great at it as well, giving us a wrap of the FIFA World Cup for the week, and also focusing on the African teams that were able to represent us, seeing as though South Africa did not make it there. Mouth-watering football still coming up, 6 p.m., 9 p.m. this evening, and we'll definitely catch you up on all those fixtures. Do stay with us.